Well, folks, this is NC4XL. Look at that. I don't ever go anywhere. Today is maintenance day. I have an antenna that failed to perform like it should yesterday when we went out. So, based on those things happening, we have to do other things. And everybody knows I like my coffee. So I got me 2 cups here because I'm going to do a video today on new hunters and new activators with lots of questions, and it gets confusing, and yes it does. So I'm hopefully going to have a little fun with you, share some secrets and things that I have learned for me, myself, and I. These are not written in blood for anybody, but they're there for everybody, for each of us to share and learn off of them. Little history, I started November 2020 chasing POTA after almost 10 years of not being on the radio. POTA got my interest. After getting my interest, I wanted to be an activator. Why, I don't know. But, needless to say, I started activating in April. And if you pull my call up on the app, you'll see I've had a few awards I've won. I've earned. I worked hard to get. All because of you hunters. Now, you're brand new. You're thinking, what is this all about? Why do they keep working these contacts? I had to write down things for me to remember to talk about because I see a lot of times they're posted, and we welcome questions. Questions is a method of learning. So don't ever hesitate to send me questions because I'll find you an answer if I can. And if I can't, it's okay. We'll go on to the next until we get you an answer. So what I'm presenting today is if you're brand new and you're wondering why and how, and this is just a top layer. There's several layers. POTA is growing larger every day. So let me start with my list. Otherwise I'll ramble on here forever. First thing is, what is the best? The best is what you can afford, what you've used and what you like. Not what I buy, not what I used, what I like. We all have different preferences. So getting some ideas from other people's awesome. Listening to their reviews on what they've used, awesome. But you'll never really know until you try based on their review or their opinions. Okay, so let's start with antennas. Which antenna? There's no best antenna. It's what works for you. Now, the vertical antennas, Wolf River Coil, excellent choice. I got one. Set up in 40 and 60 meters, 20 meters, wherever I want to go. The Buddy Stick, another excellent antenna, vertical, set up, not bad. But I have no experience, so I can't tell you anything more than that except from other people. See what they say, go from there. Chameleon SS17, great vertical whip, uses a counterpose. You run it on 20 meters all the way up, and you can use a tuner, and you can slide it down within itself, and you can have another vertical that will cover from 20 down to 2 meters if you like. So there's another option. Small footprint. When I say small footprint, it's not like having a dipole strung up. We'll talk about that in a minute. TDL by Chameleon is an NVIS type antenna low to the ground, and many are experimenting now with raising it up off the ground and putting some additional radials with it and getting some excellent performance, but it's very costly. Now, Homebrew Antenna, 36-inch rod, 3/8 threaded tripod mount, 11-meter antenna mount. Put a resonator on it on top of that. Put the analyzer on it, tune it, see where you're at. Homebrew. Ham sticks, automobile, preferably 3 magnet mount, because if you're going to have a wind load on it, a single magnet may not really perform well for you. And some talk about adding additional ground radios for when they're sitting stationary on their automobile. Just another option. Experiment, play. Use what you have. Use what you can afford. I have a complete set of the ham sticks because they perform, and it was too cold and I got tired of missing the opportunity to go out and activate a park. Now, my preferred, that's me, myself, and I. My preferred antenna is the NFED. I use a Vibraplex 10 through 40. No tuner required. No counterpose required, but I'm sure that the coax is acting as a counterpose. It takes some practice using a fishing pole or arbor of some type to get the line up and over, but I find the fishing pole works great for this old man. My throwing arm don't throw no more, but my casting still does, so I use it. So there's some opportunities on antennas. Which one's the best? It's the one you like. Which one do I use every time if I can? Because of the area, I'll use the NFED. I'll put it in a sloper configuration, let it come down. The box can be 4 feet off the ground, 2 feet off the ground. It's not going to really affect it much, as long as it's resonant on the frequencies that you're at. That's what a analyzer is there for. It's not a little toy. It's a device that saves your radio. It properly adjusts your antenna so that your antenna is resonant, so that you don't necessarily need another device in the way called a tuner. Even with radios that have built-in tuners, we get lazy and we push the button tune. Why don't we make an antenna that's resonant? That's just an opinion. You're crazy enough to come to the page and look at it. I'll just give you an opinion. I have what I showed here when I first started was my coffee, my addiction, a couple other boxes of things. So I've got to repair a 60-meter dipole that I've used, and yesterday it decided to create high SWR. So it's maintenance time. Okay? Maintenance time. Remember, vertical antennas, you got things inside the garage or the shed that might work as an antenna. People are using slinkies. Experiment. The antenna that works for you might not work for me. The ground conditions where you're at a park or whatever, may not be conducive to this Wolf River coil antenna, but it's conducive to this chameleon antenna. The length of radios may require 33 feet on a Wolf River coil, but you might put 6 of them that are 33 feet and find out that it flattens your SWR. But the next park you go to, it doesn't work because the ground conductivity has an effect, and that's what people forget. Let's jump off of that. You got a jackknife pole, you got a drive-on mount. Take the jackknife pole, a couple bungee cords, put your line of them to the top of it, take it over to a tree, bungee it to the tree, run your coax to your automobile, do your thing. Have a drive-on mount, put your jackknife pole or a pole of push pole, painter's pole, some people, that's 20-some feet up in the air. Hook your line from there to the picnic table where you're sitting about, or your table that you brought with you in a chair. Yeah, don't forget some of those things. It's hard sitting on the ground when you get old. Put your analyzer on it, check it, you're good, rock and roll, and have a ball. It'll work perfect at that site, but the next site, it might not. One of the things I often try to tell people is to take your setup, whatever you're going to use, whichever ones you got that you want to test them all. Set them up at your house, set them up at your neighbor's house. But set them up. Look at how much time does it take to set up. How much time does it take to bring it down? Set it up again. It's boring. Set it up so that you're comfortable with when you get out to a park. You're an hour or 2 hours away, that you're not fretting, oh God, what am I going to do? You're going to relax and have fun. It's going to take time to set up. It's not a drive in and start talking unless you're on a ham stick. And then that's real simple. Okay. We're going back to preferences. Each of us have a different preference. So if your preference is to drive into an area, talk off with the ham stick, knock yourself out, works great. Will you get more contacts there? I don't know. I find more with the NFIP, but that's me, myself, and I, us three. Enough on the antennas. Let's take a break from that, give you something else to look at. When you gals get up early in the morning and you're thinking nobody's out there, you need to go to the POTA app. And you need to look for all bands, all modes, and to see how many of our DX partners in POTA, because POTA is really growing overseas now, and more are being added, okay? Did you hear that? More and more DX are being added. I can foresee a different type of an award being issued for the DX contacts that we're starting to see more and more of. Get up there first thing in the morning since you're already up. Go check the app and see who's out there. And if you're sitting at home and you have a beam, awesome. If you don't have a beam and you have your dipole, or you have your hex beam, or whatever you got, go see if they're there. Because they too, like you and me, want contacts. They want contacts. Yesterday was an awesome day. We worked into France, we worked into England, we worked into Azores, Spain, of course Canada. I love working the Canadians because you got a long area from east coast to west coast of the Canadian provinces and so forth. So don't hesitate to get up early in the morning and go chase them, especially even if you're mobile like I am. Get up and go work them. It's nice to talk to Germany when it's 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the morning my time, or 6 o'clock if they're up. But you know, if you don't go, you don't know. If you don't go to the frequency or you don't go to the app, you have no reason to complain because they might be there waiting on you. Enough said about that. Chase the DX. As an activator, when you get out there, we may have a tendency of getting overly excited, overwhelmed with pile-ups. And one of the things that we forget, actually not one, is three. We forget about our QRP stations, those with low power. We forget about our park-to-parks because we're so concerned with getting our park activated that we're not hearing or paying attention to park-to-parks. And we're forgetting about our DX partners overseas. 40 meters doesn't do a lot of DX for me when I run because of the time period that I'm running, but 20 meters does an awful lot of DX. And we have more and more places coming online, so we need to start paying attention to what's going on out there and listen for them. So as an activator, hey, take a time out. It's your activation. You run it the way you want. The hunters don't run it. You run it. You're the one with the logs being processed and sent in and the time taken. The hunters don't. They're on the receiving end. So stop, take a breath, go out, look and listen for QRP. Look and listen for park-to-parks, and look and listen for DX, and then get back into it. If anybody watching this has followed me or sometimes worked me and he's really never visited this YouTube before, I'm pretty laid back. When I get out on the run, My goal is the number of contacts, not in a contest mode, just that while I'm out there, while the band's up, what can I do in this amount of time? So I'll use something for me, myself, and I. First is last, last is first. And when I do pile-ups, first is last, last is first. All the strong ones are going to be clicking 1,000 or whatever they got to get to you first because they don't want to wait. I'm sorry. Somebody's always going to be last and somebody's always going to be first. So when I listen, I do everything on paper. I don't do it on a laptop or a device. I go back home and do that. That's my preference. It's what I like to do. At the same time, I feel I can work faster that way, and I can read my handwriting pretty much, but I can't type very fast, I guess. I don't know. So I take the list. I do partials. I write down what I hear. I might write down 16 of you, 5 of you. It doesn't make a difference. I write them down. The last person that I heard is the first person I work. First is last and last is first. That's how I do it. I go backwards. So when you work in me, you don't have to be first to get in the top of the line, although many will. We got to work as a team, you and me. When you're out there and you know I'm working or any other activators are working, just think of what they're going through, because they're getting bombarded with 100 calls at one time, and it's like, what do they hear? Some of us have hearing impairments, so it makes it difficult. So just consider the activator's point of view. And if you don't know what it's like, go out with an activator and sit with them and listen. I've had a few tell me it's too much. And it is, it's overwhelming. It takes years and years of practice of listening to partial calls, writing it down, and being able to do this. And I've had a few years in county hunting doing it, so that's why it's fun for me and easy. Okay, that takes care of that part. There's a saying that I use, and a lot of people don't realize it, and I'll explain for yesterday. 2 is 1, 1 is none. When you go out to a park, you don't know the environment that you're going to have as far as which antenna will I be able to use, or do I want to use, or can I use? Is that antenna complete? All the parts there, did something get pinched? Did something get cut? Did something get broke? Did something get left at home? And if you drive all that way and you've got no other antenna because you only brought one, you got none. 1 is none. If 1 breaks, you have nothing to do with it. That's why I say 2 is 1, 1 is none. I'm fortunate, I'm blessed. I can have several different types of antennas. Not everybody can, but a lot of you can actually make inexpensive dipoles, put them in sloper configurations. They don't have to be fancy. Nobody's looking at your artwork. They're listening to the performance of your antenna. So have a backup. Have a backup antenna or antennas. It's as simple as that. It's fun. I wrote down a lot of things, and I'm looking at my list. Yep, I did that. Yep, I did that. I talked about first with last. I did that. I talked about DXing. Okay. Logging. If you are using N3FJP's program, which is highly used by many in the POTA field, and if you go to the POTA app or go to POTA YouTube and type in Matt, M-A-T-T, here, H-E-E-R-E, Matt here, he will give you a full educational spectrum on YouTube of POTA, Parks in the Air, setting up the app, walking you through the app so you can set it up in the manner you wish to enter information into your log. It's great for when you're at home if you want it, and I use it for at home too. But I set it up the way I use it in the field, and I don't use it in the field. It's when I come home I put my information in it the way I would. So logging, you really gotta use what works for you, what you can afford. I pay one fee one time and it's forever, updates forever. I'm not going to live forever, so nobody will get it when I die. The thing is, it's a very easy, usable, backed program. And there's other backed programs that are out there. Others using different formats. Others that are creating new. They're all there for you to use. You choose what works for you. There is no right answer in everything. There's no best antenna. There's no best radio, because each of our interpretation of the word best is not the same. I'll do a review occasionally on an item I purchased, and I'll tell you what I think. I don't tell you what you should do. I tell you what I think of that item. The rest is up to you to do. I thank you for your time. Welcome to POTA. It's very addictive. If you used to drink coffee 1 cup at a time, well, you might start drinking 2. If you go out traveling outside of your house and get into the fresh air, you might find a beauty out there that God's given us, in sight-wise and smell-wise and freshness-wise and sound-wise. It's all out there. If you're in a position where you can't go out, then support your activators. When you hear them and you work them, spot them. When you hear them and you work them, spot them. Very simple. They depend on you. I depend on you when I go out. If you're not there, giving me an opportunity to say hello, give you a signal report, test my abilities in emergency communication, I'm wasting my time. And they keep talking about gas going up. It hasn't stopped for me yet. But I heard something today, and I paid through almost $3.60 to go out yesterday, a gallon. You know, it's an hour and 10 minutes one way to get there. That's not setup time. And that's an hour and 10 minutes to get back. But they're talking gas going up to $6 or $7. And you know, that's rumors and propaganda. It's out there every day. We hear it. But support your activators. You can't get that park unless they're there, and they can't give it to you unless they go there. It's a mutual love affair, if you want to call it that. We work together. If you spin that dial, I've never seen as many activators on at one time as in the past 6 months. More and more people are getting out there and trying it. It's not for everybody. It's fun for those that go out and enjoy it. It's scary, but you can get by it. Thanks for listening. North Carolina for extreme lovers. That I'm not. I'm just the darling old man, Dom. Oh, yeah, I'm in Harton, North Carolina. Look it up on a map, a spot. I think somebody dropped an ink drop there one day, and that's where we're at. Miss y'all. Chat later.